Good evening, all. Welcome to Real Talk. You're through to Real Talk, and you're going to be listening to Tyrone and Bathtime. How you doing, Bathtime?
I'm very well, Tyrone. Yeah, I'm excited to talk. Excited to talk about this film, but
Okay.
I'd love to know. Do you want to do the creative bit at the beginning?
Okay. Oh, what? Speaking about what we're going to be speaking about tonight, you mean?
No, I mean like what we've been up to in
Oh,
terms
okay.
of like art, I suppose.
Okay, so for everyone who's listening, me and Bathtime are working on a short film project. It's going to be a comedy, and it's going to involve myself, an actress, and we're going to have another little friend who's going to be part of the show. And I don't want to give too much away, but
Yeah, but where are we
we're
in it?
currently like going over the we're going over the final details of the script, so we've got the final draft up and running. Um, what I'm doing is I'm trying to like get hold of someone who can help me film it, and I'm looking at actresses. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, man.
It's going to be great. And like
Yeah.
for me, I've been writing treatments actually for proper feature films that I've always wanted to make. That
Okay.
obviously they'll probably go nowhere, but because Manchester United only play once a week, I've got a lot more free time, and also working on some more short films for after we finish this masterpiece that we're going to have in hopefully. What do you think? Like 6 weeks?
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks, I'd say.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah,
So before Christmas, hopefully.
yeah. And
Um,
I've written a couple of scripts that I want to kind of send you as well over the next few
Absolutely
days,
send them to me.
just to see what you think of them.
No
And
worries.
I'm looking for someone to do a poster for me. So I've been on Fiverr and I'm speaking to someone in Pakistan. He's like literally the highest rating like designer on the site, and he's going to be doing my poster for my short film Between Floors. And the idea for Between Floors is to kind of just enter it into a few festivals and see what
Is
happens.
that the Lift film?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, good stuff. I've seen it. It's decent.
Mm.
Like I think what we're going to make is a lot better.
Yeah,
But I've never ever judged like anything that someone has made. Like if you went out, you wrote it, you made it, you directed it. You've got a huge amount of respect from me for that.
okay.
Shout out Bilal as well.
Yeah, big up Bilal. Nice to see you here.
Yeah, Bilal, you missed last week with Baba Hotep. I assume everything is fine, but I want to know if I'm the only person that enjoys Baba Hotep.
You kind of won me over eventually, didn't you? Because when you kind of chose it, I was like iffy about it, but it wasn't as bad as I thought.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic B movie, and all of you were wrong. Right, Tyrone, what did you make me watch this week?
So tonight we're going to be discussing Serpent and the Rainbow, which was made in 1988. It's actually a film based on the book of Wade Davis, who basically went to Haiti and had a lot of interesting experiences out there. And we've got a cast. I'm not going to say the whole cast, but I'll just give you the principal characters. So we've got Bill Pullman as Dr. Allen. Kathy Tyson plays the beautiful Muriel. Zake Smokai is Sergeant Petraud, who's one of the craziest villains I've ever seen. Paul Winfield as Lucian. Brent Jennings as my favorite character, Mozart. And Conrad Roberts as Christoph. So yeah, we're gonna go over like the first act.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts off with a man named Christoph who mysteriously dies, and it's but before we get there, we actually have the first scene where Dr. Allen visits a shaman.
Is that not afterwards?
Is it afterwards?
Yeah, because it's that. So I suppose like we should talk that this is a film about like sort of voodoo and stuff, directed by Wes Craven,
Mm-hmm.
who obviously did a film that I can't believe Tyrone hasn't seen, which is Nightmare on Elm Street. It deals a lot of between the blurring of like reality and let's say fantasy or dreams. So it's a sort of continual motif in Wes Craven's work, and it starts off with this really cool kind of title crawl, doesn't it? Where it goes, the rainbow is heaven and the serpent is earth, and humans are stuck between them. But the worst thing that can happen is that you can be trapped there. So I actually really like how that kind of set the scene. And then we get the Haitian funeral. They weren't eating the cats or the dogs. They were locking John Zombie up.
Yeah, John Zombie. Yeah, Christoph. Yeah. That scene, everything from it, like where like they're obviously testing him on the table and they're sticking the needle in his eye. I just thought, wow. Like obviously when I first saw it back in the 90s, I was like, it was kind of shocking for me to see it. Do you know what I mean? Because I've never seen nothing like that before. And you've got this mysterious guy who we come to know later on as the villain, but you see him like lurking around outside the hospital, and then you see him at the funeral, and like the way he acted that with his face, he's just the pure picture of evil. He kind of makes like Mr. Han from Enter the Dragon look like, I don't know, like a Disney character. He's that like crazy. And so we go through that, and then for me, one of the craziest shots that we see is when he's actually lifted down into the ground in the coffin, and you just see the
and
tear.
He's crying.
Yeah, you just see the tear roll down his eye, and it's just, I thought, wow.
Yeah, really, it's really good because I like films that have a lot of callbacks in them. And obviously, the kind of slogan for this film is "Don't bury me, I'm not dead." Yeah. And it's like the tear is clearly that John Zombie is aware of what's happening to him, and what's going to happen to him, and it also sort of like cues the audience in. Because I think you got to remember that, like in the sort of mid '80s or late '80s, I'm not sure, with the exception of Live and Let Die, the James Bond film that bizarrely is set around voodoo. I'm not sure like how familiar people were with the concept of it all. I certainly feel that these days probably know a little bit. We've just been exposed to it more.
Yeah.
Like I can remember a great episode of The X-Files, which is kind of a remake of this. But also shout out Lee Murray. Haven't seen you here before. I'm glad your first comment is about I'm the only person that likes Bubba Hotep. Cheers, mate. But yeah, I think it's a great way to set the scene, isn't it? In this sort of like this world that you don't really understand it, but you understand that guy's in trouble who's getting buried, and it's obviously a fear that I think it's a pretty like ubiquitous and universal fear of being buried alive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the film does like really well of like putting the audience. You almost feel like you're the character going down there with him. The film actually, the imagery is so powerful. It's like you kind of feel like it's you going down there. And after that, obviously we come into the scene where we see the anthropologist, Dr. Allen, later on when he goes to see the shaman. But even when you get into that scene, you're just thinking to yourself, that scene lingered for me. I don't know about you, but it kind of still stayed with me for a bit after that. And
absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, you know that I don't get like bothered by silly things in films, but the first thing that took me out is that the shaman spoke with some of the most northern accented Mexican. Like he's straight out of Sonora, which took me by surprise. But I thought it was really cool because it's like a sort of peyote trip or something, isn't it? Like he's out there swinging hallucinogens. We straight away get all the key concepts that we need for the film, even if it is a little bit ludicrous. Where you have this idea of his jaguar spirit animal, which I liked. Because I was going to ask you about this. You know how I love in films where at the end the hero incorporates like both sides of himself together. Yeah, I think that this was quite interesting because he does this right at the start of the film by incorporating that jaguar side with him. Yeah. Which so I thought that was quite interesting. And obviously, when he's falling through the ground and stuff, all of this is
Oh,
paralleled in the third act. Like
I'll
this
be,
is training
I'll
for
be
what
honest
is.
with you though. When he's rolling around, obviously, and the shaman's looking at him, and there's clearly no Jaguar in
Mm,
it. And that did make me chuckle a bit, man, because I was like, brilliant at getting into character, mate. I thought,
yeah, I know. I'd love to have seen Nick Cage play this role, to be
yeah.
honest.
Originally, yeah, I think they actually went for Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson was meant to be the original person, but because of his Christian faith, he said no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, yeah. Like because Bill Pullman to me is Mr. President in Independence Day, and
yeah,
in this, like I'm not remember his name. He's just John America,
yeah.
and I can't tell you anything about John America, to be honest. Like I don't think his character is particularly fleshed out or whatever. A lot of things he does makes absolutely no sense. But I did enjoy Bill Pullman playing him. He's like he's a likable actor, isn't he? And when he's
Yeah,
rolling around pretending to wrestle a jaguar, that is inherently amusing.
yeah, it was
But
amusing. Yeah,
this is where my first issue with the film comes in, right? 'Cause I'm just before we get into everything. I don't think that this is a great film, but I really enjoyed it.
okay.
Like I really enjoyed it for what it is. But we straight away get like John Voodoo like turns into the shaman.
Yeah,
Right.
it didn't make me jump at the time, but for me, it was like, yeah, it was a bit of a shock. You don't really see it coming, do you? You're like, what's going on here?
No, but
Yeah,
I thought this is really cool, right? Because what this is establishing is that there are forces of darkness out there that going after John America.
yeah,
That's what I thought that this was what this was about.
yeah,
That there is a big bad out there that and it's almost inescapable. It's going to find him. And I didn't feel that for the rest of the film. I felt that you told me earlier that there was heavy studio interference and things like this,
yeah,
and I feel that why John Voodoo is after John America isn't explored enough, or even there's no real reason for it.
yeah,
But in this opening scene, it is like he's being hunted, and then he does something very funny to me, which is run 200 miles through the Amazon, burst out of a bush, and try and hitchhike. I enjoyed that a lot. That's the kind of idiocy I like.
But then before he goes out the bush to try and hitchhike, he actually sees his pilot with the maggots coming out of his mouth, that he's like dead. And yeah,
Does he see that though, or
he
is that? Do you
he
think
sees
that
it.
was real or not?
It wasn't real, but I think if you're not familiar with Wes Craven's work, you'll be asking yourself, well, the pilot was with him when he went to see the shaman. What's going on here? But maybe obviously he's just blurring the lines between like what's not real and reality, I guess.
Because to be honest, I took it as being real.
What, that the pilot had died?
Yeah, I took that as being real because he's never mentioned again. There's nothing about because it would have been quite interesting for his character, right? When he goes to Boston to meet Basil Exposition and John Pharmacy.
Yeah.
If they had if they had this thing like, look, you bolted in the Amazon, run 200 miles through the Patanal, and left your pilot there. Like, how can we trust you?
Yeah.
We've got this mission that maybe will get you back in the good books. That to me would have been a nice way of doing it, but I also like the fact I think it's ambiguous if he's
it's open to interpretation, isn't it?
yeah.
You don't know whether he's died or not, really.
Yeah. But they never answer it. So I would have quite liked that to have been answered.
It was, I don't know, you could also interpret it that when he takes the drink, the ayahuasca or whatever it was, the DMT, he's kind of like he's kind of falling like deep into the depths of like hell kind of thing, like going darker and darker. Maybe that's because there's a scene where obviously these
the hands
the hands are kind of pulling him
drag me to hell.
Dragging him down into hell. So that was a very interesting scene. I actually think most of the practical effects in this film are quite good for the time.
Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah, they're excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'll talk about it later, but there's one shot in this film which is absolutely beautiful. Like, it really stood out to me as just a wonderful piece of filmmaking. But yeah, so in the, should we call that the prologue?
Yeah.
I think all the themes are established. I think that, like, you've got the idea that there's magic, there's danger, he's being hunted, there's the jaguar, yeah. And then we go to the normal world, as it were, in Boston.
Yeah.
And once again, it's a little bit silly, but it's very earnestly played. So I've got no problems with it. I thought, in terms of exposition, it does it really well.
Yeah. And they're basically telling them about what's happened to this man, Christoph. And
well,
yeah.
Yes and no in it, because
well, there's no proof. There's no proof. It could be a scam for all he does.
Well, I think what's really cool, right, is that they have one character, John Pharmacy, who is fact-based, scientific, capitalist, profit. And he is like, 40,000 people die every year in America alone from bad anesthesia.
Yeah.
So we've got an opportunity here to make loads of money by going out and working out what this whole malarkey is about. You know, very similar to how in the old days, if you had a headache, used to boil willow, like willow trees, and drink the tea because it had something in it called salicylic acid, which now is the basis of aspirin. So I quite like that. But also you've got Basil Exposition, who is like, he's the sort of, in some ways, he's like the threshold guardian, where he warns about magic and things you don't understand and stuff. And I think it's really interesting that they chose to go with that as the warning rather than talking about the political state and the rebellion and things that just happens later in the film, apparently. So I think that's really cool, is that you've got the two sides, which are also the two sides of John America. And then you've kind of got the hook of, there's a guy who died 10 years ago or whatever, and now he's back. What happened to him? So you've got that mystery there as well. So for exposition, I think this is all quite cool. No problems.
It reminded me of the scene in Indiana Jones when Indiana Jones is warned about the Ark. So
it's a very similar structure, isn't it?
It is very similar.
Yeah. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence either.
Well, it's not, because I think when Wade Davis was pitching the book for filmmakers and stuff, immediately that was the thing they thought of, Indiana Jones. Someone an American going into Haiti for an adventure, basically. So. Yeah.
It's sort of like similar to James Bond as well in some ways.
Yeah, just a bit more of a nightmare, I guess.
And then he just goes straight to Haiti, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes straight there, and he meets up with Lucien later, but he meets up with Muriel, and she takes him to the clinic where they treat all these people. And one of the most chilling scenes is where he's introduced to this woman who's had dealings with the main bad guy before, and she doesn't say anything to him, but her eyes are quite wide. She's clearly frightened. And I like how the actor's actually narrating the story throughout the film. He's like, I could see from her eyes she was giving me a warning. I just don't know what the warning is of yet. Yeah, I thought that line was quite powerful. And,
well, I mean, the scariest thing to me there was the mention of Thorazine, which, private joke, but I think that, like, I'm watching old films, right? The thing that always surprises me is how quickly they get into Act 2. Like, if you think back to Indiana Jones as well, it's so fast. Like, it's 15 minutes and they've set everything up, and it is really refreshing to sort of deal with 90-minute films, to be honest. I like how they just like chug along without without worrying about setting up some subplot that never goes anywhere. But at this point, I quite liked how cautious he is and how aware. of what's going on. And I tell you, Tyrone, I did not trust Jane Doctor as far as I could throw her at this point. I was absolutely convinced at this stage that this was a very, very well thought out scheme to get him for some reason.
Well, obviously the people that are sending him, it's a pharmaceutical company with loads of money. So obviously that's exactly what I'm thinking of as well, you know.
Well, yeah, but this is what I thought, is that there was going to be that reason, but also there was going to be another reason, and it was something to do with what happened in Brazil. I think so. And then I think, do we go straight to a party after this?
We do. I believe or is that later on? You wouldn't think I've seen this so many times. I think there is a party, but I think he's introduced to Lucien, who's actually a voodoo priest in Haiti. He's actually obviously not as powerful as the main bad guy, but he's one of the main characters in terms of like he's got men who can protect Dr. Allen while he's out there. Basically, he's got power to protect and make sure Allen doesn't come to any harm. But yeah, we're at the party and we see a lot of like demonstrations. It's basically a place where all the tourists go.
Yeah,
you've got people like chewing glass, putting needles through their lips, that sort of stuff. And which is quite cool in some ways, because it's like, this is what people think voodoo is, and we're going to show you what voodoo really is. Yeah. And what I really liked about this scene is that you've got like John Voodoo is sitting behind them, like watching, and you're like, oh, that's the guy from Brazil that popped onto the Mexican, and you're like, right, okay, so there's the villain. We've seen him basically in every scene so far. We've seen him at the funeral, we've seen him in Brazil. Now he's here. This is going to be good. But the bit that really threw me is that someone sprays zombie powder in Jane Doctor's face. Yeah. And then she goes up and dances with him after saying, I'm not going to dance tonight. Yeah. They go nowhere with this in the rest of the film. Because I thought that this is cool, right? Yeah. You're going to find out that this guy is basically the sort of the king, and everyone are his slaves or subjects or whatever, and he's in complete control. Yeah. And from this moment on, I thought that girl is betraying him, and she's going to have to break free, to save him. And it went nowhere, Tyrone. That was my first major issue with it. Red flag.
Well. It's a red flag when the film has ended, as it were. But what I love about horror, right, or what I think a good horror film is that you have something that is accessible to everyone as being scary. Right? So buried alive, not being in control, not being able to sleep, a monster stalking you, etc. But I think the other part is that you wouldn't be able to get out of it, like you're being hunted. Yeah. So there's a film called Hostel, for example, which is one of those torture porn films where they like basically cut up some Americans that go to a party, meet a girl, get drugged and things. And I always found that really scary, because there's no way that I wouldn't have been caught by that honey trap, as it were. Not a chance at 19. Yeah. Absolutely none. And in this, what I was really hoping for is that John Voodoo has this massive noose that is tightening around Bill Pullman throughout the film. And that there's no escape from him. He's going to get you. And when they sprayed the powder in the girl's face, I thought, okay, it's that we're going to see that this is a plan, that there's going to be clues, but there's just not going to be enough until it's too late. And so I was like, yes, I'm excited. So I like this scene, but they didn't deliver on it.
And then he starts clinking the glass, and then all of a sudden one of the guys who's meant to be during the show, he just goes mad, ends up picking up a machete, wanting to cut people and stuff. Crazy.
Yeah, I sort of, when I watched that, I thought that's probably a test. I mean, it's clearly meant to get you to like John America, but I thought that it was because he was like he wanted to see what John America would do in this situation. Shout out to Lee Murray, who's asked about a film called Eden Lake. Have you seen it? I haven't.
I haven't seen it. Big up Lee Murray. The scariest horror movie I ever watched was a British movie called Eden Lake because it was the only one that I believe could happen. Okay, add it to the list one day, maybe.
Maybe. I imagine it's one of those films where, you know, you book an Airbnb in the Lake District and your next door neighbour is an absolute mad mentalist with a chainsaw. But yeah, so I quite like. I thought the sort of like the voodoo seems all right. But do we then go to him looking for Christoph?
Yeah, so basically Muriel takes him out and they go and they start going to a few graves. And eventually they get to the third or fourth one and he kind of snaps at her and says, look, we're not going to find him. He's not here. And then he starts accusing her of being a scammer. Yeah, you know, I know you. I've seen the hospital. I know you guys are desperate.
Yeah.
You know, we've got money and obviously clearly you want me here. And she's like, oh, the way they described you, they said you walked on water. And then she says shit floats apparently. And then he ends up storming off in a huff. And then we see Christoph for the first time.
Yeah, well, he just sort of appears there. Like there's two.
Yeah. Yeah. And
there's two good jump scares in this because is this where we get the grave robbers?
Yes.
Yeah. And then he falls into the coffin, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. That was a crazy scene, actually. Yeah, he falls in.
And that's just quite good, isn't it? Because you know, like it's very on the nose foreshadowing. But I do like stuff like that.
But that's why he snaps though, because she's laughing at him when he falls in, and he's like, "Yeah, this is funny," you know.
But then instantly they meet what I like to call the half man. Also, Bilal has said that he keeps crying that he's American. I did find that tremendously funny as well. That whenever he got arrested, he just shouted, "I'm an American citizen."
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was. Those scenes are quite good. The bit where we'll get to that bit later because I want to. Yeah, we'll talk about that torture scene later. But that bit, I shouldn't have probably cracked up as much as I did, but it was funny.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? It's the British equivalent is saying it's legal tender with Scottish £1 notes. It's such a stereotype.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've really liked Christoph in this because another thing I think about horror that works really well is when you get a kind of not a shadow, but it is what could happen to the protagonist if they don't sort the situation out. So very often it's someone who's encountered the monster beforehand. Like have you seen Predators?
I've seen a few of them. I've not seen Predators yet, no.
Okay, so like Aliens, in some ways, Newt is like the equivalent of this, where she's been surviving by herself with just the aliens around, like, and she knows what there's about. There's someone who works as both a warning and a prophecy, and I think Christoph is really, really good at this because he's a half man. Yeah. He's not in control of himself and stuff. And the sort of writing about, I think it's called a Bocker. Like, like about how he's in hell being whipped and he's not free and stuff. And also he exists. I think that this is all really good and it's introduced just at the right time because, as I said, I was suspecting at this point that there's a lot of demonstration and a lot of things going on. And so I like the way that John America reacts by saying, "Stop fucking about taking me to graveyards." Yeah. And then Christoph is like, "All right, lads, I'm the zombie. What do you want to know?"
Yeah. And then it's like you can see that he knows what's happened to him. It's kind of heartbreaking because he explains what's happened to him. You know, he gets sent into people's dreams. You know, he basically says, "I'm not free anymore."
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's really tough to see. And
important that about being sent into people's dreams as well, because what my favourite character in this doesn't say a bloody word, and yet you kind of know her story, which is
And
the
then
corpse bride.
That was that's apparently quite a powerful sorceress as well. And eventually, obviously, he's taken into custody for the first time, and that's when he meets the Tonton Makute, who are basically Pertraud's or John Voodoo's, as you like to call him, secret police. And he's basically
I particularly like one of them. I bet you can guess which one.
Yeah, his facial expressions are brilliant.
His facial hair as well, man. that is a world-class henchman. That guy is amazing.
But I don't know if you noticed, right? But there's obviously in the beginning scene, he's actually in the beginning scene in black and white makeup as well. So yeah,
it's Baron Samedi, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bilal. But yeah, like, so this is where I have another issue with the film. Is I don't like the fact that John Voodoo doesn't really sort of have a motive at this point. Do you know what I mean? He's just an annoying American.
Well, we don't find out we don't know his backstory or anything.
No, I don't think you need to. But with a villain, I like it when the villain has a clear goal or something like that, or that they're trying to do something, and especially in a horror film, because I want John America to be in a trap. I want him to be in a spider's web, as it were. And I want that web to be woven by John Voodoo. And John Voodoo at this point, it just seems to be worried if he's a CIA asset. That's the feeling that I got from him. And it's a good performance with what he's got, but I did find it disappointing that he just doesn't. That there's not a plan to get an American or to get him in particular, because that's how it feels. It's been set up.
It felt like the main bad guy. Well, it felt like he's kind of let down by bad writing. It could have done more with him.
Yeah, but it's not so much bad writing; it's bad storytelling.
Yeah.
I think the writing's pretty good in this film, to be honest. And then, do they meet? I remember this guy's name. Do they meet Mozart next?
Mozart, yeah. So they continue the investigation, and basically, so it's Lucien after he leaves the police. I don't know if does he scream the first time or the second time.
Second time.
We'll get there later. So he speaks to Lucien because they're basically saying, "Look, we need your help," you know. Then Lucien obviously tells them about his friend, and then we come to Mozart, who's runs his own bar, and apparently he's the man who's got the knowledge of how to create this toxin, this powder, the zombie drug, basically. And I think he asks for $400 or $500, and it's not explicitly said to us what he actually sells him, but he reckons it's rat poison. And there's a lot of back and forth because at first you don't realize if he's just a con man or if he's the real deal.
Well, he's presented as a con man, isn't he?
Yeah.
And they do all these little, he does that trick with the paw.
Yeah.
And at this point, John America is still quite savvy, where he's like, "You'll get the money when I see you bring that goat back."
Yeah.
And so at this point, it's quite good. We've got all the characters set up. We've got a bit of mystery. I'm enjoying it so far. And then, if I have it correct, there's a weird bit where a guy with a knife is in his hotel room and he's just not that bothered about it.
Guy with a knife.
He goes to his hotel room and he sees a shadow of a guy holding a knife. Does that happen next?
I don't think so.
Is it the pilgrimage?
I'm trying to think. No, he ends up embarrassing Mozart again, doesn't he? Because he has to go back the second time to actually. He proves that it's not the real poison. I'm trying to.
No, that's after they have sex, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I think that the next.
I can't remember the knife. I'll be honest.
Okay, well, I think the next thing that happens is they go to is they begin to sort of like weave the idea of what voodoo really is, and they compare it to Catholicism, and they have this beautiful scene of like taking the Virgin Mary with all the candles like to this waterfall, and it's absolutely fantastic. Like it's really stunning to watch, and then they end up like fucking under a waterfall.
Yeah.
And then they go to the woods for some reason.
Don't we come into the scene where they're lying down and he has a nightmare? Is that not?
Yeah, but that's in the woods, and everyone else is sleeping around. It's just another thing that happens in this film, like when he just randomly runs 200 miles. Like it's just like, oh, okay, we're in the woods now. But you know, them having sex, it's been on the table a lot. At that point, I'm wondering if this is what he meant by dancing John Voodoo when he said she's going to dance. I thought her role was of a seductress, and then we get a dream with a bit more kind of like foreboding in it with the corpse bride.
It's Christoph, isn't it? So Christoph comes in, and you got this corpse bride that comes in, and you know, it's mad that, you know, even in, you know, 1988, the special effects for that and the sound as well, it was so creepy, man. It was so creepy. And then it's the way it opens up its mouth and the snake comes out. And then he wakes up after having a bad dream. It's just like, wow. I thought that was a good scene. Very good scene. Quite a serious scene. Especially that creepy laugh as well afterwards. Because you hear that laugh after it happens.
Well, it's just, I think it's just a reminder, because you've had some nice scenes and it's all going well for him. You know, he's sorted out the Tonton or whoever them people were. You know, he's cleverer than Mozart.
Yeah.
He's got the girl. I think you just need here a reminder that things are about to go south, and south do they go?
Yeah. So he goes back. He visits Mozart, and then he embarrasses him basically because he obviously checks the goat, realizes it's a different one, and he actually drinks the so-called poison in front of everybody.
So stupid.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's piss. And then he's like, that was a funny line. And then he's like, you're gonna die, huh? And he walks off. She's like, what the hell are you doing? And then he quickly shows her. He does a little magic trick. He shows her this is actually the real poison. And then obviously Mozart comes out. He says he's gonna want $1,000, but he says you're gonna have to make it with me, basically. But then he gets arrested again by the secret police. And
did you like the magic trick?
It's better than any magic I've ever done.
I was watching it going, don't waste my time, was what I was thinking. Like, you know, occasionally there are things that happen, like there's an explosion and it's like, you know, the girl is meant to have died in it and you know she's not dead. I know exactly what was like happening there. I haven't heard of Angel Heart. We have an enormous list, lads. But you know, maybe we can do a Christmas special or something and watch these films. It's a terrible joke. But I didn't like the magic trick bit. I think it could have been done a bit better. But it does the job, which is like, you know, as you say, they're going to go and cook in the woods. Yeah. And then the next scene is where is where things get a bit more serious.
Yeah, so he gets arrested by the secret police, and he says, you know, I'm an American citizen. What are you doing? And then he's taken down, and it happens a few times when you see people getting taken to the secret police. You see all these hands coming out all these jail cells. People.
Yeah, it's callback, isn't it?
Yeah, who are never getting out, and he's sat on a chair and he's face to face with this man who's been haunting his dreams. And he tells him that you've seen me before. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, you know, you're not a very good liar. And it's a bit of a torture scene. Has a blowtorch. He's like, do you like that face of yours, that pretty white face? See, he's meant to be quite sinister, isn't he? But I find myself laughing at him a lot because I don't know, he plays the role so well, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Were you impressed with him?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he
I
was the best
was.
thing about the whole film.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that, look, if you're looking for a villainous guy, he's done a great job. I think once again, I get what they're trying to do here, which is take him down a notch. He's too cocky. He's now got to pay for his actions. He's
Yeah.
in a world he doesn't really understand. They nail his balls to a chair. I just, at this point, I don't think his motivations are strong enough to keep him in Haiti.
Well, he doesn't want to. Whose motivations? Alan's motivations.
Yeah, John America.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're strong enough to keep him here, and I think, and so that is what I would class as weak writing, because the story needs him to stay, but it's not like there's some sort of like, I don't know. It's not like he's promised John Zombie, Christoph, that he's going to get him out. It's not like he's promised Jane Doctor that he's going to save her or something. There's not a strong enough motivation, in my opinion, for him to stay after they put a nail through his balls.
And the thing is, as you're watching it, you just think to yourself, if this is me in this situation, I wouldn't mess with this guy, and two, I'll be getting the hell out of Haiti. But you keep wanting to go back. But like you're saying, what is the reason that you're going back? It's definitely not to get this. It's definitely not to get this poison, because if it was, you could just tell him, look, send someone else. I don't have to be here.
Well, it's because it's given as that he wants to go and meet Mozart in the forest and make and do the cookout and stuff. But it's Bilal said, don't get why he had to head back to the US, because they were going to lock him up if he stayed, Bilal. Like, it's a direct threat that you will rot for the rest of your life here if you stay. It's what I don't get about it is why they want him out so badly. Like a lot of motivations are never fully done in this, which is why I think there's a much better film here.
But I think he knows that he's after this poison, because it doesn't tell us that he knows, but he definitely, this is someone who's got spies all over Haiti.
Yeah.
But he'll know. He will have been told straight away, look, the doctor's with him. They're planning to.
Yeah, but why does he give Christoph freedom, as it were, like a kind of half freedom? That's because I assumed that this was a trap, because they knew that like the American money would come and he could do a deal with the Americans to give him the power to, take over the country or whatever, like General Noriega or something like that. But it's just it's not clear enough, in my opinion. And then you get the cookout, which perfectly fine. I think it takes a bit too long, to be honest, and it doesn't really establish why he wants to stay. It's just people telling him, "Look, you got to fuck off, mate." And he's like, "No, give me the puffer fish. Let's get going." Yeah,
and he's Mozart. I thought he was a good character as well. I don't know, the voice was fantastic. The inflection at certain points.
I like Mozart's quality. He's sort of like the cheeky streetwise scamp, isn't he?
Yeah, very good character.
And then I get confused now. Did they go to the beach house after this?
I believe he gets dumped on after he's tortured the first time, when he's like says, "I'm gonna hear you scream," and he starts screaming like
they go to the jungle.
Yeah, they go to the jungle,
and then afterwards, to rest his balls, I think they go to this tiny little like house on the beach. Is that right?
It's him and Mozart who go there, I believe.
It's him and the girl. Because she put they're in this sort of cabana, and they have like that kind of satin, like whatever it's called, stop mozzies biting you. And then there's this, but he has a dream of a boat with the corpse bride on fire coming towards him, and then you see the jaguar again.
I think he gets set up, doesn't he? He gets set up.
He does get set up.
He gets set up with the severed head. They take
hilarious.
A few pictures. Yeah. They take a few pictures, and then he's told, get the next flight to Haiti, otherwise because he basically says these photos are quite convincing, aren't they?
Yeah, that's why he goes back, because the thing that's brilliant about this is like Baron Henchman is obviously with them, but it's a tiny little cabana, and they basically just rip it apart, and I love that. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And so then they get him out of the country, basically. And you've obviously got this. I wanted to ask you about this with Mozart. So Mozart, it's all very silly, okay, but it is pre 9/11, where Mozart can just somehow get on the plane. You know, they're marching him onto a plane with a gun on his head, going to America. I mean, it's just ludicrous now.
That facial expression was hilarious. You know, where he's pointing the gun at him as he's on the plane, and he's just, that look was just amazing, man. Brilliant acting, man. But it's not even like he's angry. He's just like, I'm looking at his face, thinking to myself, you know what? I'm just doing my job, man. Just stay here, please. You know?
Yeah, it's just another one of these things that happens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, it's just, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But the bit I found most interesting, right, is when Mozart gives him the poison, he takes his watch.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, Mozart's a baddie. Because you know, like, that's a personal artifact. And earlier on, Jane Doctor asked for his shirt or something like that, and I'm still at this point thinking everyone's against him and they're going to build a voodoo doll or something. But because he's taking personal artifacts off him. Did you get that feeling at all?
No, you know what? I just think, although he seems like a scammer at the beginning, and you question him, I think from that plane scene, I thought he's one of the good guys. You could just sense.
I thought he was well on it.
I didn't mind him. I don't think he was in on it at all, because
I think in the original script he's in on it.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think
I think they all are.
What, everyone is to trick him, and then obviously
I think everyone is, and I think the original ending is him being buried alive. That's the film that I would make.
Well, that's what a lot of people have said. That was probably the most realistic way to finish it, but obviously I believe the studios got involved and thought.
Oh, really? Because they just take the handbrake off in the third act. It's wicked. It's so stupid, but it's wicked. But yeah, then he goes back to the States. And this is another bit that I didn't really get, because we get some pretty cool stuff, like with the hand coming out of the soup, the fact that he sees his mate's wife like eat glass. He's still dreaming, and it's like they can get him anywhere he is. But why do they want him? They've just let him go.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, he says it in the actual film. He says, I've taken one of Haiti's secrets, that I wasn't supposed to take it. That's the reason they're pissed with him.
Do you think
he wants him? Because it's their thing. It's like he's taken something back to America that they didn't want to go back to America. That poison.
Right. Okay.
I believe that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. I just don't know if that comes across strong enough for me.
It could come across better, but I believe because he narrates it in the thing, you know, I've taken something from Haiti. I've taken one of John Voodoo's secrets. That's his reason for going back, to settle the score, because obviously he's thinking about Muriel, he's thinking about Lucien. You know, I've got to kind of go back.
Yeah, I just think motives are so weak in this film.
Yeah, they are. That's probably what kills it a little bit, really. There's no raising of the stakes, is there?
Well, there is, because, like, you know, they if he goes back, he's going to jail forever or whatever. But it's just things like a revolution breaking out and stuff, like, randomly. It doesn't. I just don't think that the writing conveys what a lot of the characters want, and that's not always a bad thing. Because I quite like the idea that, like, Mozart and Jane Doctor that you're not really sure where you stand with them, but with your main character, you've got to be sure where you stand. You know, there's like in the script we've done, like, one thing I think that you'd agree with is that we know why the main character does what he does most of the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think that and this is no criticism on anyone except for the studio, because I think that this film is very interfered with. because John Craven is a wonderful filmmaker. He knows what he's doing, and he wouldn't have liked this either, I don't think. But then we go back to Haiti, and there's just some very comical stuff.
Well, it's quite interesting, isn't it, when he goes back? Because obviously he goes back, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, the police are going to get him again." But it's actually Lucien's people who get him out.
Yeah.
So they get him away from the secret police. And then he speaks.
Good twist, I thought that, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that.
Neither was I at the time. And then,
how did he know? I mean, maybe he called ahead? I have no idea.
Probably just he's probably thinking, he's gonna come back.
Well, I think that Jane Doctor says that the Tonton will know that you're here. Like they knew you were here before you arrived or something.
Yeah.
Like in one of the opening scenes.
So yeah, obviously he speaks to Lucien, but eventually we see that Lucien gets killed because he starts
well, death is not the end.
Yeah, kind of starts coughing his guts up and stuff, and then eventually we see is it a scorpion that comes out of his mouth? Yeah, that was crazy. That's a good
It's
scene.
cool because what I really like is, how we talk privately about the importance of Hector armoring up at the Battle of Troy.
Yeah.
I like the armor scenes in this where, obviously from the film poster, he looks like an England fan with the St. George's cross on his head.
Yeah.
It's coming home, lads.
Yeah.
But I like the way he's given all this kind of spiritual armor, and it's from Lucien.
Yeah.
So when Lucien dies, that is taken from him, and he gets that someone blows like the zombie dust in his eyes, and this is, I think, the bit that is meant to be the real existential horror bit. Like, I think that this should have been the scariest bit in the film, where he knows what's coming, that he's going to go into, we'll just call it a coma, and he's going to be buried alive, and he's screaming at people, don't let them bury me alive. I would love to have seen this come earlier in the film. Like, instead of the I would have it in my version at roughly halfway point, this scene, because this is kind of what do you remember when I sent you the poster saying, is this what I'm watching? I'm dead. I'm not dead, don't bury me. This is like there's 25 minutes to go. Like, and I think it's great. I think it's scary and stuff. And as I say, like they put all the monies in the third act.
And there's a bit where obviously you got the Western doctors who are looking at him saying, he's gone. Let's write up the certificate.
Yeah, very RoboCop-like.
Yeah, and then we see John Voodoo coming in, looking down at him. Yeah, that I'm glad you mentioned that. That reminded me of RoboCop. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
when they're looking at him. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's his death, and the thing is it's so good because you know exactly what the intentions are. Is he can hear them, he's alive, don't bury him, he's going to get buried, and then John Voodoo pops him in the coffin and gives him a little treat as well, a lovely little spider to spend his time with, and then he. Sorry, I'm now thinking about if he was an England fan and Christoph like went to pick him up because all he could hear is "It's coming home, it's coming." He's just banging the coffin. He's eating the spider and punches his way out. But I think it's really cool that Christoph is the one who breaks him out.
Yeah, it makes you wonder because obviously Lucien he does all this spiritual stuff with him to protect him before anything happens.
Yeah, but because Lucien's dead, it doesn't work. They do say that now Lucien's gone. Now he belongs to me or whatever. None of this stuff. So I think that's cool because like he's kind of like gone in to storm the castle, as it were. And now there's a surprise. Like all of his plans have been taken from him. The worst things happened. But our man, like John Zombie, who is what he could have been, is so cool because he works a little bit like I'm trying to remember the name of the guy in the River Styx that has a 3-headed dog. Is it
Hades?
No, Charon, who takes you across the river.
Charon. Okay.
Yeah, like, or maybe it's Chiron. My ancient Greek isn't what it should be. But he's kind of bringing him into the new world, because this is, I mean, my love of resurrection. This is a literal resurrection.
Yeah.
And what I wanted was for him to come back stronger. Like, I wanted him to sort of sit up like the Undertaker, and it's
yeah.
But I think it's quite realistic that he's covered in dirt, he's weak, and all these things, because we're going to get to my favourite bit by a country mile in the film about where he is resurrected, which is just it's hilarious, it's stupid, it's dumb, it's brilliant. I loved it.
What, as Christoph is digging him out, you mean?
No. Further on. Okay. You'll know the bit I mean.
Yeah.
But then does he go to does he go to John Voodoo's secret underground voodoo lair straight away?
He does, because he's got to go after Muriel, because I think they've taken her there to sacrifice her.
Yes, that's right, because there's actually a scene where
there's a siege, isn't there? Because obviously it's the Haitian Revolution at the same time, so that's what.
Yeah, they're just running around waving tree branches.
Yeah.
But there's also that scene where John Voodoo is like decapitating someone as Lucian.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, it's Mozart. Mozart's basically telling the guy,
yeah, man,
me and the present are like this. We're close. You're making a mistake, and they don't care. They don't listen to him. They chop his head off.
Yes, I mean, they've put him into sort of supervillain territory here by killing someone that we all liked.
Yeah.
And condemning the two sympathetic characters to a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
And killing Mozart, I think he drinks his blood, and that's how he's able to take over Lucian and capture his soul. Yeah. And then John America just randomly turns up and they have a fight, and it is amazing. Because he's running. Do you not remember? Like, they're doing all these callbacks to what happens in Brazil, and also the torch scene where he's running into the prison and all the arms are coming out to get him.
Yeah.
Like that. I like that. He's going.
Quite good imagery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love that hands coming out of the ground stuff. I think that's quality.
But it also shows how John Voodoo, all this stuff that he's doing throughout the whole film, it shows you like all the dark forces aren't actually good, because it's aged him a hell of a lot throughout the whole film. You can see, the grey hairs start coming. He just looks a lot more older.
I didn't notice that, to be honest.
Yeah, it ages him. Every time he kind of takes a soul, it ages him. It takes a little from his normal life. Yeah.
Is that? I mean, I don't know if you know a lot about voodoo, but is that something that happens in voodoo?
I've not looked at it explicitly enough to understand it. So.
Okay. But yeah, then so he's running around, going through hell. Like the money tap is turned on now. Like there's all the special effects and things.
Yeah.
And then he gets in, and then it is by far my favorite moment where, like, earlier there's a really important line where Lucian says to John America, the battle's going to be in your head, or something like that.
Yeah.
And like, we've got John Voodoo like sort of putting his hand on his face and burning him and things.
Yeah.
But
and then there's also, obviously, he meets Lucian, who he thinks is Lucian, and it's just John Voodoo possessing his body.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying, "Oh, it was your fault, this and that."
And the chair.
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of scared of the chair because, in some ways it represents like a loss of masculinity, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then we come to the greatest part of the film where Jane Doctor smashes Lucian's voodoo thing, like the jar.
Where his remains are. It smashes it, and then
panpipes play.
Yeah. And then
Jaguar appears.
Yeah.
It's like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it is absolute nonsense. It's so silly, but I loved it so much. That's exactly what I am looking for in a film like this. Like, there is genuinely a thin line between idiocy and genius, and that was right on it. And it's the panpipes That's the bit that I loved, because that do you remember I talked at the beginning of this about how he incorporated the Jaguar earlier on?
Yeah, into his soul. Yeah,
he does it again.
Yeah,
right, and it gives him the power. This is his rebirth. This is the moment where he's reborn now, and he's now the master of the world, because the corpse bride comes to help him, which I loved.
Yeah.
I loved that she's not a baddie, she's a goodie.
Yeah.
She's just like him. She's what he could have been. She's another half man, as it were.
Yeah.
But also him, like, taking control of the chair. And I'm not a huge fan of the line going "scream for me" or whatever. That's a bit too on the nose for me.
Yeah, that was earlier on, wasn't it? I think that was earlier, one of the earlier scenes.
That's what John Voodoo said to him, and then he says it back to him when he's in the chair, like the positions are reversed.
Yeah, it was a bit silly, wasn't it? That's the problem. See, the problem I have with it, although this is really entertaining, I'm not going to say it's not. It's very entertaining towards the end, but this film could have been so much more serious.
Yes,
and a lot more darker without all this nonsense at the end.
This is like this is sort of the thing with third acts, is they just turn into kind of power fantasies or something. And I like a good power fantasy, and I love it. I've said this so often. I love it where people go on the offensive in horror films. I want to see so much more of it. But it is quite clearly a third act from a different film.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there was a lot of like it's the third act, so I think the first two acts was basically how Wes Craven wanted it, but this last act, they got involved way too much. They were like, we're putting a lot of money into this. We need people at the cinema. It needs to be like this, and this, and they changed a whole load of stuff. And I actually think the writer took his name off. He only put his initials on the film because he was that disappointed with it. Didn't want his name associated with it.
Did he? Well, the thing is that there's enough that's been sown in the first two acts for all of this to make sense, particularly the Jaguar and particularly the imagery. So I think this is what they wanted.
Yeah.
But it is a bit too kind of Rambo, as it were. Like, it's the second that jar's broken, it makes kind of like internal sense because he's got the protection back. Like, now Lucian is free. He's got the protection back. But just smashing a jar, I don't know if that's enough to free you from his power, as it were. It did. Do you know what it reminded me of?
What?
Enter the Dragon.
Really? Oh, with the mirrors.
Well, what do they say? What do they say to him in Enter the Dragon about fighting your enemy?
Yeah, the enemy's going to use illusions.
You've got to break the illusions.
To hide his true intentions, he's going to use illusions.
Yeah. So the smashing of it to release him, I would have preferred to have seen that as more like for that to be a kind of symbolic moment for Jane Doctor, of of breaking the control that he has on everyone and things like that, rather than it just be about getting Lucian's ghost out to get a Jaguar.
Shall I tell you what else impressed me about that last scene though? Obviously, when he smashes all the urns and stuff, all the souls of the people and stuff, you actually see John Voodoo burst into flames and he's rolling around on fire. I thought, like, for me watching that, even now, it's still quite shocking because it looks like we're watching someone who's actually on fire. The way they did it, I don't know how they pulled it off or how they did the special effects for that scene, but it looked realistic.
We're gonna watch The Thing quite soon, and I'm not going to make The Thing is a remake of a film from the 1950s, and in that there is a scene which it's the longest anyone's ever been set or had been set on fire in a fire suit, and it is about 30 seconds. And any time I watch like people, a stuntman who's been set on fire, I always think about that. And this was very impressive how long he was on fire for. It's like 15 to 20 seconds. And now I think the law is like 7 seconds maximum.
Okay.
So it's really cool to see that. And like, he's on the pile of bones and things like that. But yeah, I liked it. And I liked the fact he knew he was going to hell and he's trying to take John America with him.
Yeah, because he comes back, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes back. They could have made him look a bit. I think they could have made him look even more grotesque. I think.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have seen henchman Samadi involved as well.
Yeah.
Because he's just got such a good look.
Yeah.
Like,
He's a brilliant actor, man. He played the part so well.
I know there are some guys that I remember in Independence Day. There's an extra that always stood out to me in one of the scenes, and there are just some people that have presence on screen. And henchman Samadi, he should have gone on to have a really good career because he's just massive and scary, and he knows he knows how to intimidate. And I was disappointed that he wasn't in it more, because I think it would have been really cool to have a fight between him and John America, and then like to have the real internal fight
with John Voodoo.
Yeah, because as I say, I enjoyed this film. I find the idea of voodoo really scary. But the reason I find it scary is because it's a trap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about the real religion or anything like that, but the way it's presented in films and stuff is that it's like you're caught in a web and you can't really do anything about it. And that scares me, that you can't fight it as like physically, you just start smacking it up. Because, if Chucky comes in, I'm sorry, but that is not lasting long. I'm smacking that up. But with voodoo, I mean, I love the fact the only way to beat voodoo is to dress up as an England fan and just riot.
Yeah. But I noticed though, even like when you first meet Mozart and you go into like his study and stuff, you see like the voodoo doll, you see this, you see that.
Yeah,
and it's just, I don't know.
I think there's such a better film underneath this, and I'd love
been a great film.
I'd love to remake it and do it my way, where it doesn't rely on this sort of like fantastic third. Even though I love the third act, it's entertaining, but it's bolted on for a Hollywood film. And I'm really, really excited to see what you think about the third act in The Skeleton Key.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
But I think we've kind of done the film, haven't we now?
Yeah, we have. I just wanted to shout out to Brad Fiedel, who does the music for this, because he
terrible goalkeeper.
He does the music on the Terminator films, and if it sounded similar to Terminator, that's why. So, yeah,
I know. I love the Terminator theme because of all the sort of clunking machinery in it.
Yeah.
And like the sound of doors kind of crashing together in a factory. Yeah. So no, he is. I just like the panpipes, man. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. My favorite scene is where he says, "Come on, I'll do whatever you want to do. I want to hear you scream." That scene is brilliant. And it's when he starts screaming, honestly. Oh, I'm cracking up. It's a brilliant scene.
Apart from where he turns into the Jaguar with the panpipes, it's definitely for me where all the henchmen just rip the house apart. That is so fun.
And the bit at the beginning we've just spoken about, where he's rolling around in the grass with his Jaguar, that was brilliant.
I do like silly stuff, I've got to be honest. But to be honest, right, in terms of a film, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10. But in terms of how much I enjoyed it, I think a solid 6.
7 out of 10 for me.
7 out of 10.
Yeah.
7 out of 10. I will say I love the imagery in it. I love the themes. I love the fact that the key stuff is set up early. I think that the casting is good, but I think the motivations of the character are weak. It didn't go the direction I wanted it to go. And I think that by going for this kind of like body horror instead of psychological horror, which has been established in the first and second acts, I think that whilst the third act is tremendously enjoyable, it makes the film feel uneven. But I enjoyed it.
And I forgot to kind of shout out to one of the scenes where he's having a nightmare and you see the blood at either side of him. I thought the imagery for that was fantastic.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's great. Yeah.
Bilal. Like, I haven't seen him for like 30 minutes, and he's like here with Brad Fiedel. Jokes. Right. I suppose we should talk about what we're going to watch this week then.
Yeah, so I'm gonna need you to kind of give me a rundown on what we're gonna talk about the next week or this week. It's Skeleton Key.
Yes, we're watching The Skeleton Key. I will just excuse my noisy keyboard. I will just check what year it is. It is directed by a British guy called Ian Softly, and he has had a second career on YouTube writing. I think it's Cinema Sins, or something like that. He's honestly he's nice. I've actually written to him before,
Nice.
or emailed him, but this is actually about voodoo again.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and it stars Kate Hudson, who goes to work at a sort of like an old plantation in in New Orleans, and so it's probably like it's voodoo, but it's their kind of voodoo, like American South. It's a gothic horror film. It's a lot of people really, really like this film, including myself. And I think you're going to enjoy it. It is much more of a mystery and a creeping horror rather than like, you know, running about with jaguars.
Okay. Well, I looked at the I did check the reviews before. I was shocked by the reviews, but I'm gonna give it a chance because after all, that's what this is all about. We choose films for each other.
Honestly, it's got a good cast as well.
Okay, cool.
It's got John Hurt.
Yeah, he's a brilliant actor. He's brilliant. Yeah, John Hurt.
No, I wouldn't say it's a B movie, Bilal. It is. I don't want to spoil anything about it, but it is about two people investigating like voodoo and stuff like that. And it is honestly, I think that if this film was released today, people would view it very, very differently. Because I'm not going to spoil it, but you will, when you've seen it, you will see an instant comparison to a film that has come out in the last 5 or 10 years that everyone loves, and I'm fairly sure it's based on it.
Cool.
Okay, so I think we're finished, aren't we?
Yeah, I just want to shout out my friend Lee Murray, who was good enough to come and show support in the comments. Thank you to Bilal for coming. I hope you guys have actually enjoyed this. We've enjoyed talking about it. And we look forward to speaking about Skeleton Key next week.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you. Certainly thank you to Lee Murray, who's tuned in, and like with people like Bilal and maybe some other watchers, understand there's a lot of Manchester United content on that you probably prefer to watch. But really pleased to have you here, and you know, it's good to get stuck in with sort of conversations about the film, and we also really respect that a lot of you watch the films like that, so it's a commitment on your part as well, and we do respect that, so thank you very much.
Thanks a lot everybody.